Thank you very much. Um, Honorable Mr. Minister for Commerce, Srimati Sitaramanji, Honorable Minister for Agriculture, Government of Karnataka, Sri Bairegodaji, my distinguished friends and media friends, and all the entrepreneurs, budding entrepreneurs, established entrepreneurs, and to-be entrepreneurs. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. It's always very difficult to be the first speaker, and especially before two ministers. But nevertheless, I start with a small correction. I am no longer Secretary MSME Government of India. I retired 3 days ago. But not retired, but not tired. But it's very difficult to shake off the governmental influence and the vestiges, so I'll do a commercial on my old department for a little while. In the government, normally when we try to go anywhere and speak to people, we try to say that there is something called ease of doing business. Madam Sitaraman is the pioneer of that. See, her ministry and the government led by the present Prime Minister, the lead on this. But I will show you just one site, and it will, could somebody please show that? This is the site of Udyog Aadhaar. In India, prior to 2006, in order to obtain a registration, you had to obtain what is called the SSI registration. After the MSME Development Act came into being, it became EM1 and EM2, and with effect from September 2015, it has become what is called Udyog Aadhaar Memorandum. Just notice the number and the second one, it is 1,90,011 now. If you scroll down a little bit, can you please scroll down? You see that there are only 14 questions that government asks you. And once you fill up that 14 questions, the MSME registration will be yours. There is no uploading, no fee, no nothing, just you upload. The only two information that we want is what is your Udyog Aadhaar number if you have, and your bank details. Udyog Aadhaar number we want only because we have established system of verification so that there is no ghost application. But suppose you don't have Udyog Aadhaar, government doesn't deny you this. You can fill offline and give it to you. Now please go back to the top. There are the 14 questions. I don't want to spend much time on that. Refresh this page once to make sure list the number 1,90,011. It would have gone up at least up to 20. In the last 1 minute, the number of people 23. Please, I am not in government. Thank her. Thank her, because this is what is the power of IT. This is what is the power of what thinking people can do, and this is what is ease of doing business. People are working on this 24/7, getting their registration number. You know who are the most difficult to convince on this? My own colleagues. When I had video conferencing with them to ask them, would you agree with this? People said, if he cheats, I said, let him cheat. If somebody wants a number, this number doesn't entitle you aeroplane seat, this number doesn't give you land, this number gives you nothing. So therefore, if somebody takes 10 number, government had not lost. We have no quota system on that. It has worked. I'm happy it has worked, because we did not want, the government did not want to go on very whole hog and publicize this first and fail by the face. It has worked. This has worked because people like you. This is the commercial. But let me say something else. So the other one, please. There is one more window open. In the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise, anything that you want is on this page, msme.govt.in. Whatever things you require, any scheme that is there, they are all here. With the permission of the minister, I'll speak something about a scheme that she has brought in, but that is slightly later. Now, coming back to an entrepreneurship. Who is the entrepreneur? A person who spots an opportunity and tries to take advantage of that. In normal economic terms, either you find a new product or a new market or a mix of the two. We many times confuse enterprise with innovation. A lot of people think anybody who has to be entrepreneur has to be innovative. No, he has to spot a market where it exists. If it didn't exist, try to innovate on that. And is innovation a very tough thing, very difficult thing? Let me give a very simple example to tell you that innovation is not a very difficult thing. In the market thing, it is not innovation per se, but using an innovated thing to be in the market. In this hotel, suppose there were 20 odd floors. Suppose there is an elevator and people complain, saying that elevator is very, very slow. Then a new manager comes, he just fixes two big full-length mirror in the elevator, all the complaints go away. Because the new manager has not innovated anything. He just played on your common sense that psychologically we like to look at ourselves and the person standing next to us. So by putting two mirrors on the two sides, he got what he wanted. Today, I do not want to belittle the importance of innovation by this trivial example. All I'm trying to say that when you try to bring in innovation to the marketplace, this type of tweaking will work. I want to speak to you about something else, because today morning I attended a session by my colleague from Haryana, and I was mentioning to Mr. Shenoy that he ate up half the thing I wanted to tell you, because whatever I wanted to tell you that government is doing, he has already mentioned in the contract of Haryana. So let me change my track and talk to you something else. How many of you have heard something called the law of unintended consequences? Law of unintended consequences. What is this? A simple example. Suppose in a particular district there is famine, or the agriculture crop failed in that district. And in that district, government says that let us supply free food grain because it will help people. Because of the famine, who lost? The poor agriculturist. The agriculturist has less product that month, but because government gave free rice or free wheat in that area, the prices of food grain will fall. So this poor chap, who to start with had less grain harvested because of the famine, will further suffer because the price of that less grain will go down. So although famine means the person who suffered most is that agriculturist, government intended to help the agriculturist, gave free rice to people, and as a result, this person suffered most. These are the type of a simple example of what is called law of unintended consequences. Does it happen here? My request to you is that you people as industry leaders, please be aware of what you people do, and wherever you do that, does it have some unintended consequences that may have impact on anybody, including some other sector, including people in the government, including your less fortunate brethren. Those of you who are up to date on things that are happening, in the Guardian magazine of newspaper of England, on 30th December 2015, they listed a follow certain things which are environmental disasters of the year, which are actual ethical disasters for the year 2015. Ethical disaster. The point I'm trying to make is that as entrepreneurs, we would like, the society would like you people to be ethical entrepreneurs. What is ethical entrepreneur is very difficult to define, but what is not, I will show to you by certain examples. Example number one. In Brazil, in September 2015, there was a disaster by which there was a mining company. This mining company, joint mining company between Vale and BHP Trilton. This mining company has a tailing dam. That tailing dam, which is mining wastage, burst, and 6 million cubic feet was washed away of mud. What is 6 million cubic feet? It is the size of 250,000 Olympic-sized swimming pool amount of, that is the volume. When it was swept away, there was unmitigated disaster in some areas. Point is, was it known? Surely, some people in that industry, in the mining industry, were less careful. That is where ethics come in. Ethics come in where you are supposed to do something. By not doing that, you do not immediately suffer a loss, but the consequences of that can be very, very large. Example number two. Think of what happened in Volkswagen. Volkswagen, at one point of time, it was found out that they had tweaked the software of their system in such a way that nitrous oxide, it will not detect, the vehicle emission will not detect. They had to recall large number of vehicles, and the then CEO stepped down. He said, I was not aware of what was going on in my company. Subsequent interview said there are a chain of inefficiencies and we could not pinpoint. It reminded me of Government of India. We also, whenever there is a fault, it is very difficult to pinpoint as to who did it, because in our system, a lot of people are involved in decision making. But coming to that, there is a failure of due diligence and ethical failure. Third example, Exxon. Exxon is a petroleum company into that. Sometimes in the year 1980-81, their internal researchers, they had found out that there may be a climate disaster waiting to happen, and in order to move into a low carbon economy, steps need to be taken. Exxon did not admit that, and instead they tried to say there is no question of any climate change, and invested huge amount of money in trying to deny that there may be climate change. And even today, people are lobbying that we should not try to implement what was agreed in COP21. Example number 4. There's a company called Toshiba. Toshiba, in October or July of last year, it was found out that they had systematically understated their profit to the extent of 780 pounds sterling. Why? Because of their structure. You do not question what your senior says. You don't have the guts to say, the senior officer to say that it is not going on well, and things like that happen. Now, these examples show that if the corporate governance standards were correct, and each one of us, we had our allegiance not only to the company where we are working or the government to which we are working, but to ourselves, then possibly things would have been averted. And I'll talk about this, about when I say that you have to be wedded to what is correct, this is essentially you got to wedded to what is ethically correct, what you think is correct, and there is something unwavering loyalty to that. Let me give an example about quality. A construction of a temple was going on. Marbles were imported from Rajasthan, and there was chiseling work going on. Some chief guests were supposed to come on a particular day, but they found that the construction is not getting completed because this worker, the person who chisels the stone, he said that this piece, which is supposed to go to the apex, top of the temple, is not yet ready. Then the organization which was doing that, they said, why it is not ready? This person, the worker, said, can you notice a scratch in the middle? This person looked at that, he said, of course, there is a scratch, but if it goes to the temple, who will notice that scratch? That person said, I will notice that scratch. I will know that there is a scratch. People may not know that there is a scratch, but I will know that there is a scratch. That was the level of commitment of that workman who said that if this piece of marble, which is not to the best of my ability that I have chiseled, if that goes there, I will know for all my life that that was not the best piece that went. That is the commitment to quality. That is where we will excel, and this country will excel, because you do not work because somebody made you work. You work because you wanted to work. You work because ethically you found it is correct. And the 4 examples that I gave you, they are all things pointing towards this direction. So when I'm coming to speak to a group of people who are successful entrepreneurs and who want to scale larger, higher, greater heights, my request to them is that this is what must be our ethics. This must be what is our motto. Let me give another example of the law of unintended consequences, and that is from non-conventional energy. Wind power. Wind power has been harnessed. Maybe in the last few years, we are harnessing more and more wind power. Why? The reason is that the cost of generation of wind power in the last few years has gone down. Between the year 2009 and 2013, the cost of generating 1 unit of wind power has gone down by 43%, recorded. Why? Has the technology changed? No, the technology of getting wind power has not changed. What has changed is the type of equipment that we use. Earlier, there used to be a big, we used to erect some sort of a pillar. On that pillar, we used to put the blades and did it. This pillar used to be either stone pillar or wooden pillars. Subsequently, it was found out that the stone, wooden or metallic pillar, they give rise to some wild animals coming and building their nest, and it was not easy to maintain. So that has become now almost the monochrome it is getting up. And the size of the blade is changing. What was about 30 meters in 1990s, the diameter of the blade is going to be 100 meters in 2014. When the diameter of the blade becomes 100